he realized that a lot of the things that his members are dealing with that are causing them aches and pains and discomfort and all the stuff that plagues gym members that they don't tell the coach about because it makes them feel weak. He realized that he now had a tool to go back and discover what was going on.
At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Turning Pro on the Active Life podcast. On this show, on this type of show, the Turning Pro episodes, I'm going to be joined with my man, Larry Gaier.
Hey there.
Hey. And we're going to be talking about the things that we're teaching coaches and gym owners to do in our Coaches Immersion course and our Gym Owners Pro Path and the workshops that we do all around the country at Active Life. So Larry is one of our top coaches. He goes to all of our workshops. His presence is awesome. And everyone who comes talks about how great Larry was, I'm like, hey, I'm over here, right? But so I thought it'd be cool to have him on the show.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see what we can get out of it.
Me too. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about how movement assessment can be the most valuable thing that you do in your gym, not only to keep your members safe, but to start to build a culture of personal training.
Yeah, it sets the tone, doesn't it?
It does set the tone.
It does a lot more than just give you qualitative stuff to work with. It really kind of lets people know what you're after.
Yes. And so to give you guys an idea of how the format of this show is going to work, there are some episodes in which I'm going to interview Larry and try to pull information out of Larry. There are some episodes in which Larry's going to interview me and try to pull information out of me. The goal is to keep all of these episodes under 30 minutes so you guys can get the information that you need, the application of that information that you need, and then go use it. Turn pro with it. We don't need you to listen to us pontificate and talk about social stories and all that kind of stuff. We want you to get the information and go put it to use.
I love it.
So another thing that I'm going to give you guys a heads up about on this show is we've built PDFs of the relevant content that we talk about on these shows so that you guys have an opportunity to head to our website and download those PDFs absolutely free. The link to where those podcast PDFs are going to be will always find itself in our show notes. So if you're looking for where the PDF is, you can find it in the show notes. If you're watching this on Instagram, it's going to be in the bio.
Yeah, the PDFs are crisp.
Yeah, they're really good. Good job, Emily Glenn, EPG Designs. A little shout out for you there. So get us started, man.
Yeah, so I would love to know from you. I mean, I think you do a really good job of kind of walking people through how they can adopt, start to understand, and apply a new system. And I would love to hear how you start to think about using assessments as the first order of business, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can just kind of come out of the gate with that, I think it would help people a lot if we can just start to know, got it. So someone walks into your gym. They don't know too much about what you're about. Maybe they heard some really, really good things. And where do they go?
Yeah, it's a good question. The reason why I think assessment is the jumping off point is because if we don't know where you are currently in your world, we don't know how to get you somewhere else. So assessment lets us know, how well are you moving? What do you need to improve upon? How are you performing? Where are you actually lacking? And the reason why that becomes so valuable, especially in the group fitness business, is because everybody makes assumptions. And those assumptions about how they're moving and what they need to work on are often wrong. And they're based on a feeling. And the feeling isn't derived of any kind of measurable data. It's not derived of any kind of reproducible situation. So there's no way to know if somebody's improving because it's all based on feel to begin with.
So is that what you excuse me, is that what you mean when you say and they're often wrong? It's because no one's actually measuring anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, you talked about it at the last workshop that we had for our gym owners in the Pro Path, where if you're doing snatches in a CrossFit gym, for example, and your ankles or your knees don't move, so you end up in a good morning position with your torso and your arms all the way behind you, you're going to feel like your shoulders are tight. Mm-hmm. And now you got to go work on your shoulders, but the problem wasn't in your shoulders at all.
Right.
It was the position.
And the assessment would have otherwise enabled you to know that.
Correct. And the reason why we assess joint by joint, which we can get into in a moment here, is because we used to have a guy on our staff who I watched do an overhead pistol with 185 pounds on the bar, and it looked perfect. I watched him squat clean pistol thruster 205, like 3 feet from a curb outside in the front of our old gym. And you would look at this guy and be like, oh, his overhead squat's beautiful. There's no reason for us to do anything further. And yet he had aggressive knee and low back pain because his ankles only moved about 1.5 inches into dorsiflexion.
Got it. So the idea is that all the range of motion that athletes might be missing at their ankle, they're borrowing from other joints.
Exactly.
Got
he
it.
was a world-class compensator and a world-class athlete. So he was able to hide his inefficiencies in other areas.
Got it. So this is the kind of classic case of like, look how well these people are perceivably getting the job done. There's no reason for me to think that anything wrong is happening.
Exactly.
Got it. So can you just start from the most basic level of what makes our assessment different? Why is our assessment so special?
Great question. So there are 8 basic assessments, and these are all covered in the PDF. And the 8 basic assessments are meant to be sensitive and not specific. And I think that that's what makes it so different, especially for a coach and for a client in the gym. They're not medical grade assessments. They're meant to make it so that it's easy for you, the coach, to spot the problem that somebody is going to have based on the assessment and how that assessment applies into a movement in the gym. So, for example, reaching down towards the ground, our standing level pelvic flexion test. If when you're reaching down to the ground, you get pain or stretching in your calves and your low back, but not in your hamstrings, you're loading the wrong tissues. And that should be fairly obvious. So now the question we need to ask ourselves is, what movements in the gym or out of the gym are going to resemble standing level pelvic flexion?
Right.
And it's going to be anything where you're pulling a weight off the ground. It's going to be when you're running. It's going to be your toes to bar if you're in a CrossFit gym. All kinds of things like that. And it becomes very easy to say, oh, it makes sense then that person would have difficulty or pain in those movements. It shows up in the test.
Well, let me ask you a question. What about the athlete who doesn't have difficulty or pain in those movements, and what shows up in their test is something that would be kind of a red flag for us? Right?
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so what happens if during their standing lumbar pelvic flexion test, they reach down towards the ground and they feel a stretching in their calf, but this athlete has no history of low back pain when they do it?
So you threw me off because you said red flag.
Gotcha.
I understand
Should have used
now.
a different term.
Well,
My
it's
fault.
okay. But in our system, we teach coaches that there's a lighting system. So a green light means the test was done in full. There's no discomfort. A yellow light is exactly what you just described. There was some kind of inefficiency in the test, but there's no history of discomfort. And the movements that test would imply are probably going to be compensated for don't show any signs of inefficiency or problems. That's a yellow light. We would discuss with the athlete or the member or the student, whatever you call people in your gym. We like to call them students. We would discuss with them that we found this inefficiency in your movement, which means you're probably compensating from somewhere else. If you're not experiencing any discomfort and it's not a problem for you, by all means, continue doing the movement that you've always done the way you've always done it. But if you do experience discomfort, please let us know. There are ways to modify or customize this movement. We prefer customize so that it fits the stimulus we're looking to achieve. A red light is they do the movement and there's some kind of discomfort or pain that tells us we should not be doing movements that are, coinciding that movement assessment.
Got it. So in other words, if you have someone who is a yellow light, as we call it, on the reaching towards the ground test and never had any back pain with a deadlift, do it. If something starts to get uncomfortable, we're starting to have some idea. We have some picture that can help us understand why, and certainly what we can do to keep you safer today, now.
Exactly right.
If things start to become uncomfortable consistently, now this data can be used to even further make sure that we keep you well within ranges that are absolutely going to be safe for you.
Exactly.
While you're still getting after it with intensity.
Yeah.
Love it.
And the thing is, in a gym setting, especially a group fitness setting, there's a level of keeping up with the Joneses. And what I mean by that is, if I'm in the class and the weight that you wrote on the board that I'm supposed to do is 225 pounds, for example, and we're pulling it off of the ground, my competitive nature is going to make it difficult for my ego to allow me to do 165 pounds because that's the weight at which I can maintain technique. Now, add to that my inability potentially to reach the ground. So now I got to use a lighter weight and pull it off of bumper plates. That's a big shot to the ego for a lot of people.
For sure.
Having these tests and knowing what's going to cause dysfunction and what's going to potentially cause pain allows a coach to demonstrate to a member exactly what it is that they're talking about in a way that slaps them in the face with reality and provides them a choice of, let me give my ego a little bit of a break today and move a lighter weight off of a higher target, or I'm going to deal with back pain and not be able to come tomorrow.
Right.
It's no longer you, the coach, trying to convince somebody that it's important.
Okay. So all right. To kind of get back here, we have 8 main assessments, and we have a lighting system that allows coaches to identify someone's current risk factor, right? Someone's current level of risk with respect to a certain movement pattern. Yeah.
Correct.
Can you give me, I still want to unpack exactly why this assessment is so special. Look, there are a ton of assessments out there. What is this assessment doing so fundamentally differently that is going to allow a coach on Monday, after they attend a workshop over the weekend, to do so fundamentally different from what they were doing the week before with their members?
I'd like to tell you a story that I think will make that stand out.
Please.
And you might remember this. We were at a gym in Virginia at Arlington?
Nope. It was
Alexandria.
Tried it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the owners of this gym, we both have a ton of respect for. So Andrea and Chris Smith, right, have been on CrossFit level 1 and level 2 seminar staff forever. I don't think they do it anymore, but they're
impressive. Yeah.
They're studs. Their gym is full of stud coaches. They're awesome. One of their coaches didn't come to the workshop that we did at their gym because we only had room for 8 of them. And on Monday, they had a staff meeting about the things that we taught them at the workshop. And one of the things that they taught them at the workshop was, that we taught them was, if somebody struggles to touch the floor with their legs straight and their feet underneath their hips, then pulling off the ground might not be a great idea for that person. They were deadlifting on Monday, and they taught the staff that this is what we're going to do if we find that somebody has discomfort when they deadlift, historically, and they can't get down to the ground.
And to clarify, you're saying this is the conversation that we're having with the coaches who were not able to attend.
Correct.
They didn't even learn this stuff directly.
They didn't even learn it. So Andrea and Chris were responsible enough as gym owners to teach this to their staff on Monday. They took the high points and said, look, this is the only thing we're worried about today. I got an email from Andrea saying, you're not going to believe this message that we got from one of our members. Like, what was it? It's like a member sent them an email saying he gets low back pain every time he's deadlifted his entire life. And he's been to many gyms. And nobody at any gym ever said anything to him until Josh, that was the coach's name, I believe.
Who didn't attend the workshop.
Who did not attend the workshop, but did attend the staff meeting on Monday where they summarized the workshop, where Josh intervenes today and taught him a different way to think about deadlifts that he had never been taught before. And for the first time in his life, after a deadlift day, he had no pain. He had no pain, and he had soreness in his hamstrings.
Love it.
Instead of low back pain that lasted for the week.
Love it.
He wrote in that email, Josh today saved me years of being able to exercise without having to worry about getting hurt. And Josh wasn't even at the workshop.
That's crazy.
And that's one example. We have other examples
It's
where
an easy application too, man.
It is. I mean, we have other examples where coaches have gone back to their gym and there's been the member in their gym who, for example, always got shoulder pain when they did pull-ups. And the coach takes them back to the gym and does the supine shoulder flexion test, finds that they're limited in their ability to do pull-ups, changes what they do, widens their hands, right, or puts them on ring rows, and members then come to them and tell them that they were thinking about leaving the gym because of the pain that it was causing them, and now they don't have to.
Right. So to just kind of to count the wins around this, we have coach that has an expanded toolbox and more confidence on the floor. Mm-hmm. We have members who have less pain and more fun because they can exert effort and crush workouts without worrying about exercising dangerously and falling off a cliff. So better member experience. Mm-hmm. And we have gym owners who are able to stay comfortable and well afloat because they don't have to worry about a retention problem.
Dude, we had a gym owner from CrossFit, I want to say CrossFit G2 in Madrid, Spain. His name is Albert. Albert came to our workshop in 2016, before it was even really good. I mean, like, it was our first workshop that we ever did. So first workshop we ever did in the style that we currently do it. So we were still working out a lot of the kinks. Albert came, and at the time his gym had been open for like 4 years, I want to say. And he realized that a lot of the things that his members are dealing with that are causing them aches and pains and discomfort and all the stuff that plagues gym members that they don't tell the coach about because it makes them feel weak. He realized that he now had a tool to go back and discover what was going on. He put in place an exit survey to determine if, in fact, he was actually losing members because they were dealing with discomfort. And he found that of the members he would lose, I want to say almost 80% were dealing with aches or pains.
It's so intense.
Now, they didn't say they left the gym because they were hurt.
Well, they don't want to hurt their feelings, right?
It's that, and it's also that they don't necessarily associate that they're just not having fun anymore, or they're not getting results anymore with their pain. And he thought that was good enough to say, okay, I'm going to put these movement assessments in place, see what happens. Remember, his gym was already open for multiple years. That was in April 2016. I saw Albert again in January 2017 at the Brute Strength Retreat in Salt Lake City. He comes over to me. He's like, dude, we need to talk. I'm like, oh, damn, this dude's big. I don't know what he wants to talk to me about. And he's like, since the movement assessment, we put an exit survey in place. And now we start doing a movement assessment on every single member in the gym. And that's the only thing that we've changed. And our membership went from 160 people to 310 in the last 9 months.
And that's in large part just from plugging the holes.
It was because he was able to demonstrate to people that they could help them avoid the issues that they were dealing with, which gave his members the confidence to A, stay in the gym, and B, that they could tell their friends
to join
because their friends weren't going to get hurt.
I love it.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's big.
And guys, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I guess I have to go to a workshop and that's what they're trying to get me to do. Yeah, you should go to a workshop. But no, that's not what we're trying to get you to do. Our movement assessment is on our YouTube channel, absolutely free. YouTube.com/theactivelife. Just search movement assessment, or I think it's called movement screen on the YouTube channel. It's free. Everybody should be using it. If you want to be a tactician at doing it, then yeah, you got to come to a workshop. But yeah,
it's all there. It's all there. And the cool thing is that that's the perfect example of what. That's the perfect example of what happened for, I think it was Josh, was the coach's name at Trident, who didn't go.
Correct.
I was just told what the thing needed to be.
Yeah. And then there's Daniel Hong, who basically watched how to do the movement assessment and how to apply it to talk to your clients about personal training and made like $10,000 in his first week.
Yeah. He said, yeah, I didn't know what was going on. They were just like check after check after check at the front desk.
Yeah, they kept calling me and telling me there's a check for me.
All right. So in short here, to kind of sum this all up, we're looking at the fact that if you start with something that's going to give you a much better picture of where your athlete is, you're going to be able to do a much better job of not only keeping them safe, but earning their trust and allowing them to have a better experience and journey, which is going to keep them in the gym.
100%.
I love it.
And make it easier for them to tell their friends to join. Because believe me when I tell you, their friends are thinking about joining your gym, but they're afraid because they see so many people limping around.
Right.
They're afraid to join.
Yeah. So it's almost an expectation.
100%. And if you're not assessing people when you first start, then you're putting them in danger. Or at best, you're just wasting time. Because let me ask you this. We have a few more minutes here. How many people have you seen in gyms across the country, not at our workshops, but just in general, where people would be doing something like a banded ankle distraction before a workout?
Right.
And you're like, hey, why are you doing that?
I don't know. I just feel like that's the thing, right?
Yeah, my ankles feel tight.
Right.
Oh, really? And then you measure their ankle range of motion and you're like, it's full. This right here is a complete waste of your time.
Right.
And
if you're paying for someone to tell you to do that, then it's a waste of your money too.
Oh, that's a different story. But wasting your time, like what's more valuable than your time?
Can't think of anything.
No, think of it this way. If you go to the gym 3 days a week, that's 156 days a year. If you spend 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes working on something that you shouldn't be working on, that's 780 minutes. That's quick math. You like that?
That was very nice.
I mean, that ends up being what? 10, 12, 13 plus hours, 14 hours? 15 hours, I think. No, who cares? That math isn't.
That's great math, dude. I love that.
But that's like half of a work week doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That's not safe. So, yeah, it's worth it to assess all of your members.
Yeah. What's next after the assessment?
Yeah.
So what happens when someone gets this profile of how someone's moving and then they go, okay, now what?
Well, so the first thing is do a better job customizing your clients' workouts.
Right. So the idea is, I was just talking with I just helped a coach get into a workshop today, and all I kept hearing from him was like, yeah, I mean, I love my members love me. We do a great job. The number of people that have to modify every single class is not high, but when these frustrations come up, they're like, I just can't get this, or everything's tight. I don't know what to do next, and I don't know what comes first, and I don't even know where to begin. I hate running up against the wall of dealing with their frustration and my frustration of not knowing what the next right thing to do is, right? I would love to be able to modify better. And that stood out so strongly, right? So I think that's what you're getting at. If you could unpack that, that'd be great.
Well, that's a big part of it. It's what you're describing is you give a member this cue, doesn't work. You give them the next cue, doesn't work. You give them the next cue, doesn't work. You try to put your hands on them and actually give them some tactile cueing, and it doesn't work. And you're like, what am I, like, I want to help this person. But Johnny never squats below parallel. Just doesn't go below parallel. I don't know why. So you try doing squat therapy up against a wall. You try holding his hands and having all these different things, and he doesn't go there. You never assessed if Johnny's knees could do it. You never assessed if Johnny's ankles could do it. You never assessed if Johnny's hips could do it. And any one of those 6 joints, 3 on each side, could be the entire reason why he doesn't squat to depth. And if you figure that out, the next step would be, learning how to correct it. And we can talk about that on another show. But at least the immediate step is you're not banging your head against the wall anymore that Johnny's not going to get there.
Yeah. I think my favorite part about it is that instead of, I hear a lot of coaches say like, yeah, when someone comes in so jammed up in so many different ways and I don't know what to do with them, I'll just be like, all right, well, let's just check out your air squat and see how it goes. And we'll try to clean that up. What I love about our assessment so much is that instead of taking this complex movement and trying to figure out what's wrong and just trying a bunch of things to see what's going to be the magic bullet, instead, we can take a look at how joints are moving on a joint by joint basis and predict what people's movement is going to look like.
100%.
I mean, come on, man. I can take 3 minutes and I can tell you what someone's movement will probably look like, as opposed to weeks and weeks and weeks of trying to guess what kind of smashing, rolling, smetching, or stretching or cue I need to fix something. That's so powerful, man.
Well, and if the movement assessment alone doesn't do it, then the strength testing does it for
Right.
you. Again, a podcast for another day, but So the next step from all of this kind of stuff is what your clients' problems are. Your clients know what their problems are. And it just becomes a question of, do they believe that you're the person to solve those problems for them? And at that point, we can start doing things like having personal training conversations. And that's what I want to talk about on the next show that we do.
I love it.
Is how do you engage in that immediate conversation that intervenes and helps somebody get themselves moving better out of pain with you as their trusted resource?
Huge. It's going to be a valuable conversation.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you. That's it for today's show. Remember, ActiveLifeProfessional.com if you're a coach or a gym owner, ActiveLifeRx.com if you're just in pain and you want to start feeling better. Turn pro. All right, that's going to be a wrap for this episode of the Active Life Podcast. And guys, remember, if you are looking to enhance your fitness business, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I would love to be able to go on vacations. I would love to be able to
take 2 weeks off and not have my business fall apart. And most importantly, if you want to be a part of the movement that we are creating, facilitating, and seeing come to life, which is coaches and gyms becoming the healthcare clinic of the future, helping people who've gotten hurt working out, helping people who've been told they have to work out around that, having people be told they're too old to do that, find new hobbies. If hearing things like that for your clients is frustrating for you and you want to learn the skills to solve those problems and also get paid very well to do it, head to activelifeprofessional.com and let's get talking. Until then, turn pro.